Hey guys, Tarnish here. Today I wanted to go over healers. I have four healers I'm gonna pick between and give my opinion on which one is the funnest to heal on. So I leveled a Resto Shaman. I have a Holy Paladin, that I'm known for and played for a long time. I have a Restoration Druid and Holy and Disc Priest, which I played in Legion as my main alt. So the ones I tested and playing on the most is the ones that have the least amount of experience playing, which is the Resto Druid and Resto Shaman. So I did some Mythic Plus the other day with my guild, just tried to practice, see what they really feel like, see the potential. I'm pretty sure I was spec'd wrong on the Shaman. I kind of started the testing and realized I didn't have any talents at all. So I had to turn around, respec, and do some more dungeons. Keep in mind, my shaman is the least geared of all the alts right now, and my druid is the second most geared. So I don't really struggle nearly as much on the druid, but it doesn't really affect the playstyle and live dungeons and all that stuff, which I have a lot of experience in Mythic Plus at a high level. So I was still able to properly evaluate the specs and gameplay and figure out which ones I think I'm going to enjoy the most. So there's a lot of categories I look at when I'm choosing a character and the kind that I tend to think that is the most fun. A few things that I look at when I like to do dungeons and content in general is, can I do damage? What kind of utility do I bring to the dungeon? How well do I handle burst damage, near one shot mechanics? Like, what kind of defensives do I have? Immunities, which kind of goes into the utility factor. But also that burst damage, right? Because the really high Mythic Plus, if someone makes a mistake or there are a lot of mechanics that take HPs to a very low uh, percentage of health, I need to be able to get their HPs back up relatively quickly. So do I have a cooldown? Do I have just burst healing at my disposal? So I need to know what I have at my disposal. So I guess I'll go over Shaman and say the pros of Shaman. Shaman has a ton of utility. I mean, I can tell you they have so many totems for almost every situation. So Shamans basically check almost all the boxes. Where they lack is actually the damage. So I was and really trying to do damage on a few of these fights. Keeping granted, some of the people I'm playing with are super geared. Some of them are not very geared at all. So it was really hard for me to judge accordingly against my peers, except for the mage. But even then, I felt like the damage on the shaman was very low. I felt because of my gear level as of right now, it was very hard for me to keep a squishy tank up. So if a tank was super squishy and didn't know what he was doing, um, I was struggling. I had to really focus on healing him, and I wasn't able to get much damage in at all. Or if I did, I noticed the damage I was doing was very minimal. Now, for mobility, shamans are pretty mobile. They have Spirit Walker's Grace, which allows them to move every 2 minutes and cast, which is pretty nice. The big thing I was thinking of though, was actually more of the Ghost Wolf. It's sometimes pretty difficult to keep up your tank, especially a Demon Hunter that can kind of jump all over the place, or a Druid that can sprint off and ahead of you. So Ghost Wolf pretty much kept me in range. I also have the totem that increases the run speed of the entire group. So using all those, you really don't have issues keeping up. Now, the actual spells themselves and how that playstyle works. So shamans drop a lot of totems, give a lot of utility to the groups, but they actually only have a few healing spells. They have a pretty good moderate level single target heal. They have a fast and efficient heal, and then they have chain heal, which hits obviously multiple targets, and then they have an AOE AoE that they drop on the ground that everyone can stand in, which is healing rate. So between all those heals, it doesn't really feel like you have a whole lot going on. You have Riptide that you use basically off cooldown, and then a single target heal and your chain heal, which is very, very simple on what your class can just do with raw healing. So the power of the shaman is all totems. So if you like totems, throwing totems down, being super useful to your group by dropping the right totems at the right time, causing your group to be stronger, take less damage, reorganize health, everything from taking less damage to doing actual healing itself. That is where you're gonna find the shaman being the class that you really enjoy. Personally, I did not enjoy this as much as I thought I was going to. I healed back in BC on a shaman, and I really had nostalgia when it came to the class. However, it does not feel anything like how it used to. So, if you like totems, this is a class for you. The next class that I'm going to go over is Restoration Druid. I've been playing with the Druid quite a bit. I have to say, right off the bat, mobility. Mobility is so nice with the Restoration Druid. Output does not seem to be a problem with the Restoration Druid. You have a lot of small, I guess you would call them weak hots. However, if you stack all of your hots on one target, it does tend to heal enough to keep your group up. So output and mobility is a huge pro to this class. They do have cooldowns. They have big defensives and multiples of them. You have Iron Bark, which is an external, and then you have I think it's like Iron Skin or something like that that you have for yourself. Uh, and then you also have Bear Form, which increases your HP and armor. You also have Cat Form. You have Travel Form if you can actually use it. You have Kitty Form. So they're able to do all those things, which is a lot of the boxes right there that I'm checked. They also do a decent amount of damage. And they have two different specs that they can go into, or affinities, that allow them to be a ranged or melee DPS while at the same time being able to heal. So, Resto Druid actually checked all of my boxes. And I did really enjoy Restoration Druid. I also want to notate that for utility, they do bring a battle res to the group, which is nice. The external, although it is not an immunity, is a defensive you can give your team member who may or may not have one, so that also is useful. Next, I'm going to go over Disc and Holy Priest. So for Holy Priest, mobility is very bad. Disc is still really bad as well. They share that. They both get I think it's body and soul, which allows you to move quicker with shields. I believe one of them have I'm not sure they still have the feather or not in their spec. Um, the mobility on a priest overall is pretty bad. However, with Holy Priest, you get the sit there and have an extraordinary amount of output as long as you can hold still. And then with Disc Priest, you have a little bit more freedom to move as you have instant cast damage spells, which will also heal your group. Um, so Priest has a little bit of utility with a spell that'll prevent death. However, those tend not to go too well with the nerf that they had. So the it is useful and increases the healing done to them. However, you're really not going to save anyone's life if you're in a really, really bad situation with it. It's very rare that you actually save somebody with your angel. So when with disc, you have barrier, pain suppression. You bring a lot of damage to the table, where holy can't really damage that well. I know with the changes, they can do a little bit, and I guess it's notable to say that they can because in the past the damage they did was so small, but we're still looking at very minimal numbers from a holy priest. If you bring a holy priest to a raid or a dungeon, you're pretty much expecting them just to be the turd they're good at. And disc, a little bit more mobile. They have externals. They bring a bunch of damage, which is almost a utility in itself because they bring so much of the damage, especially on a tyrannical week. Or on mythic fight with a hard DPS check, having a disc priest with a holy paladin, that's going to be a lot of damage you're bringing with good output. So disc is definitely interesting. I do enjoy playing it a lot. I think because you have to be so active, there's so many aspects of the spec and encounters you have to think about. So with disc, I definitely did enjoy disc. Now, Holy, I definitely do enjoy Holy in Raid, and I love the playstyle of Holy. However, the cons when it comes to dungeons is where I start to fall off on how much fun I'm having. Overall, with the dungeons being such a con to the spec and it having to worry about positioning and a lot of times not being able to stay positioned, it brings a lot of challenges that just don't feel fun. And finally, I'm bringing Holy Paladin for my last and final class that I'm going to put in the running for the funnest healer. So Holy Paladin has had a lot of changes with the Ward of Glory and Holy Power implementation. So I have to say playing Shakanin is a lot of fun. You can go range Holy Paladin still if you want. Paladins have a ton of utility. They have a lay hand, which instantly heals you to full health. They have Bop, gives you physical immunities. They have freedoms, so that lets you get out of snares. Uh, they have double horse if they need speed and mobility. They have rule of law if they need more range. They have so many things. They have burst healing naturally. They have a few cooldowns. They have Devotion Aura, Holy Avenger, and Wings. So they're really well suited for dungeons. They bring a lot of damage. Not quite as much as Disc, but they're pretty high. And then in Raid, they have enough utility to be important. Their output is decent, and overall the play style is very bursty, which if you like having those big, huge heals taking for somebody from 10% up to 80 to 90% with one heal, that is very much your class to go to. I have to say the thing that makes Holy Paladin also very unique is their role in raid. They are the tank healer and the emergency raid healer. So when they go to the raid and heal, they're going to the person who is the absolute lowest HP, and they're casting or hitting with a holy shock or word of glory on the lowest HP target to bring their HP up immediately. Where the raid healers are spraying the raid with their raid heals, healing 4 or 5 targets for a little bit, but more than what our single target heal will do. So, what is the funnest healer to me? In my opinion, is going to be it's really close, but I'm gonna go with Restoration Druid and Holy Paladin in a close second, with Disc Priest in a close third. So the reason I picked Restoration Druid is because their stats and how their stats affect their healing combined with the way they can change their specs to accommodate different play styles that can help you with different counters of all sorts of different kinds, like say you can't use a big cooldown, you can spec into more hots or stacking your hots or more defensive, more damage, mobility, stuns, entanglement root. There's so many different ways you can take Druid. So there you have it, guys. Druid to me is the funnest healer out of the 4 or 5 healing specs that I went over. I did not go over Mistweaver. I'm not a big monk fan, and I didn't want to give a biased opinion on it. So, yeah, there you go, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Tarnish. Tarnish out.